the situation has now changed a bit. China has become affluent.
We have long forged an unbreakable and profound friendship. We will continue to join hands with you.
One idea was Bullionism. Some people thought that if you have got gold and silver, you are a rich country.
In promoting high-quality Belt and Road cooperation and implementing the Global Development Initiative, also the Global Security Initiative and the Global Civilization Initiative to upscale international development.
They went to Latin America, killed all the Red Indians, stole all the gold and the silver, and they ended up being the most backward countries in Europe. So that meant that Bullionism could not work.
For the first time today in my life, I heard somebody say, we have to stop Africa with the BRICS. We need to bring Africa back in. Times are changing. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's good to see you on the speansee show. I ask you to like, subscribe, click that notification, so when I get information out, you can get information in like this well-educated historian of a president, Yoweri Museveni. Okay, it's one thing when you say, quit bullying me, you Western powers, you colonial powers, you France, United States, you guys quit bullying us. And you're an African country just saying that. But it's totally different when China steps in and says, yeah, we're with you, Africa. That's why people are talking. And this video right here is why people are talking. Long video, yes, I know. No, this one's literally the playbook of the past compared to now what is being placed down as the playbook of today in Africa. New day, new way. Ladies and gentlemen, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. May you have a blessed evening, and let's enjoy this one together. Grab a snack and a drink. Here we go.
The meeting has clearly pointed out that building a community with a shared future for mankind is the noble goal pursued by China in conducting major country diplomacy with Chinese characteristics for the new era. And China calls for an equal and orderly multipolar world. We oppose hegemonism and power politics and work with concrete actions to advance democratization for international relations. China also calls for universally beneficial and inclusive economic globalization, opposes unilateralism and protectionism, and firmly promotes trade and investment liberalization and facilitation. We will always be a strong, firm advocate, holder of multilateral trade system. China shares with the vast majority of the South a common history of seeking national independence. Our goals of achieving development and revitalization are the same. We have long forged an unbreakable and profound friendship. China will continue to firmly empathize with, stand with, and work with countries of the South. We will continue to join hands with you in promoting high-quality Belt and Road cooperation and implementing the Global Development Initiative, also the Global Security Initiative and the Global Civilization Initiative to upscale international development cooperation and accelerate the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for a brighter future of peace, security, prosperity, and progress. Thank you all. Thanks.
The minister from China, the Secretary General of UNCTAD, and all the big persons who are here. This is not a keynote address. This is just some remarks. The slogan of yesterday of NAM, when we had NAM, was global affluence, deepening cooperation in order to achieve global affluence. The slogan for today was leaving nobody behind, which means really we are talking about the same thing. Leaving nobody behind is the same as everybody being affluent. I thought about this, the affluent part, when they asked me about NAM. I remember that up to 1980, only a small part of the world was affluent. This was Western Europe, North America, and Japan. The rest of the world were in poverty. But the situation has now changed a bit. China has become affluent, and some other countries have graduated from poverty to affluence, although many are still poor. Therefore, our mission should be to ensure that everybody gets out of poverty. Now, we have been having problems of thinking how to organize society and ensure what we are talking about. How do you organize society to achieve affluence in each country and eventually everywhere, and leave nobody behind? Since the time of Renaissance, me, I like to look at man for the whole journey of 4.5 million years, because people behave as if the world has started today. I really pity some people when I hear them talking. These people, do they know that we have been here for 4.5 million years? They come and talk authoritatively. We have been here for 4.5 million years. And we have been seeing things. So some modesty is good. To talk, but in a modest way, in a humble way. 4.5 million years is a long time. We can look at the last 500 years, since the time of the Renaissance. Different economic ideas. This morning I was mentioning some of them. Was this morning or yesterday? One idea was Bullionism. Some people thought that if you have got gold and silver, you are a rich country. Some of the countries like Portugal and Spain excelled in that. They went to Latin America, killed all the Red Indians, stole all the gold and the silver, and they ended up being the most backward countries in Europe. So that meant that Bullionism could not work. It was a wrong way of looking for wealth. Then in France, there were people called physiocrats. These are people who believed that agriculture was the source of value. But those ones also turned out not to be very correct. Then, 1776, you had this Scotsman, Adam Smith, who comes and says, where does the source of wealth come from? And he wrote a book with that title, The Source of the Wealth of nations. And he was more accurate because he said, if you give people freedom of enterprise and they specialize in what they can do best, and then they exchange, you will create wealth more easily, which was really a breakthrough. Because the example he gave, you see, look at me. I've just had breakfast. And in breakfast, I ate bread, but I'm not the one who made the bread. Somebody made the bread. Another one, a butcher, slaughtered beef. That's when I knew that English should drink alcohol at breakfast. That a brewer had also brewed beer for him. So on. So these people, they were doing all this for my breakfast. Is it because they loved me? The answer was no. They loved themselves, but in the process they helped me. So this was a breakthrough in economic thinking. And some people, it helped. Then Karl Marx comes and says, private property is the source of all evil. We better do central planning. Karl Marx was also right to some extent, as you will see later, but he had some problem of not understanding the role of private initiative, of free enterprise. He overlooked that. So then, with that thinking, things appear to be moving. Some of the Western countries expanded, Industrial Revolution. Then, in 1929, the whole capitalist system collapses. This is the time of the Great Depression. What was the problem? When Adam Smith helped those people who were there at that time to know what can create energy in the economy, to know that free enterprise can create energy in the economy, he forgot the issue of aggregate demand. When you produce a good or a service, who buys it? The market. And here we were helped by a man called Maynard Keynes, who said, by the way, it's better to give somebody a job to dig a hole, plant nothing there, fill it again, and pay him. Because if you pay him, he will go and buy the goods in the shops, which have no buyers. So economic thinking has been, and here, of course, the line of Adam Smith was being somehow moderated by saying that, yes, private enterprise is good, but you need some coordination, some state intervention to help the private sector move well. So we have all these experiences. And this is where I want to blame vested interests in the world. They are the ones blocking progress. Vested, parasitic interests. Because these thinkers have really helped us to see what should be done. Free enterprise, some government intervention to help the free enterprise work well, and exchange and trade. But some groups don't understand this. Now, the question I always ask them, when I went to the UN, I asked them, I said, who would lose if there was global affluence? If I put it in our local language, it's much better. But in English, I try my best. Urukferwa noha abantu bana twabaki. Who would lose if there was global affluence? I don't know. Maybe you can, the Secretary General can answer that sometime later. Who are the potential victims of global affluence? Why do you want to preserve poverty? I don't know how many poor people we have now in the world. They are what percent? How many? 800 million. 800 million. Very poor ones. And those moderately poor? The ones moderately poor, not 800 million are absolutely poor.
Yeah, and 40% of the world.
So, who would lose if we had global affluence? For me, I think everybody would gain, and gain even more, in my opinion. What evidence do I have? When China got out of poverty, in fact, not when it was getting out of poverty, when they were having big construction projects inside China, the prices of raw materials went up. Some years ago, we were trying to build steel factories in Uganda. And we were told, no, don't bother with steel. Steel has got a glut. There's a glut of steel in the world. Nobody will invest in steel. And indeed, at that time, the price of steel was $200 a ton. But when there was big construction in China, the price of steel went from $200 a ton to $900 per ton. The price of, in the 1970s, there was a high price of copper. I don't know why. And countries like Zambia were very prosperous. The kwacha of Zambia was very strong. To buy one kwacha, you needed $3 US dollars, because the price of copper was very high. I don't know why it was very high at that time. Then the price of copper collapsed. And we were told that the price of copper had collapsed because there was some story there that aircraft industries were no longer using cables to manipulate the plane, that they were now using digital or something like that. That's why the price of copper had collapsed. But when China was expanding, the price of copper went up. I think even the price of cobalt went up. Cement, price of cement went up. So, while transformation was going in China, in other parts of the world, we were benefiting from that growth in China. Now, therefore, this shows that if there is growth, many people, in one country, two countries, three countries, many people will benefit. Protectionism is a killer of opportunities and a distorter of economies. What examples do I have? In 1955, before many of you were born, or even your parents were born, I was already trying to learn about the world. And I was in primary 3, in grade 3, in a place called Chamati. Chamati is very far from here. And in Chamati, I was taught that Argentina is a very rich country. It is the biggest producer of beef in the world. Where do they produce the beef? I had even to know for my geography lesson. I had even to know where the cows were in Argentina. That there is a place called Pampas, that beef is reared in the Pampas. Pampas, I don't know what it means, whether it is a flat land or a hill, or I don't know. But to pass my examinations, I had to repeat it. So, cows are in the Pampas in Argentina. Now, Argentina, and by 1910, later on when I progressed more in the school system, I checked, and I found that Argentina was the 10th richest country in 1900. Now, you know what is happening in Argentina. Argentina is, I think, a basket case. What could have gone wrong with Argentina? I think we are lucky to have the Secretary General here. So if you are in a hospital, you don't have to worry about health issues. So therefore, I think the Secretary General will be able to tell us what happened to Argentina. But in my thinking, I think the problems of Argentina started with the European Union. When the European Union was created, and they formed that protection, because I think this beef of Argentina was going to Europe. That's what I think. I have never asked any economists. They are all here. This is just my own homestead economics. But I was thinking, because I remember what you people, you call history, I call current affairs. I was there just watching. When the European Union was formed, they formed a cartel. And they started promoting artificial beef, beef which is not competitive, where somebody is paid to breed cows and is given money, allowances. The one who can rear cows economically is shut out. I think this was the beginning of the problems of Argentina. You can help me to say no or yes. And I think other victims of that European protectionism were Australia, actually, because even Australia was somehow in agriculture exporting to UK, I think, but they were also shut out. But for them, they managed somehow to maneuver. So therefore, now what happened? You had artificial economy in European Union, farmers being bribed with subsidies, with what? To block out block out efficient beef producers like the ones like me. Me, I can produce beef very cheaply for those people. Much better beef than what they eat there. But I am shut out. But for me, I'm not so desperate because I've got these Africans. They solve my problem. They eat the beef. But if I was Argentina, I think it would be a problem. So therefore, this protectionism is a distorter of the economy of the world and a killer of opportunities. Now, therefore, I am a bit out of touch. There used to be the concept of comparative advantage. We used to study it in the university, that comparative advantage. What happened to that concept? What happened? That if I have a comparative advantage in producing something, I should be allowed to do it and then I sell. Now, a country like Uganda, which has got many comparative advantages, would benefit from that comparative advantage because now Uganda has one of the lowest inflation rates in the world, 2.3%. In other parts of the world, here they are crying. And we still have the problem of imported inflation through fuel. But soon we are going to get rid of that one also. We're going to have our own petroleum products here. Of course, they will have to be sold at market price, but minus transport costs, minus the Red Sea, the war, Yemen, Houthis, what, America, minus all those distorters, minus Corona will not affect us. So I think we are going to be in a good situation. But why is our inflation low? Because we produce food cheaply, low-cost producers of food and other raw materials. So what happened to this? I didn't come to give a keynote address because that means that I am sure of everything. I just came to make some remarks and provoke you into thinking. What happened? When was the concept of comparative advantage forgotten about? What happened? Is it still taught in universities, or what? What are they teaching now? They are teaching protectionism, and what are they teaching in the universities now about the economy? Now, if we really go for free trade, and it's amazing because in the past it was UK which was for free trade. In the past, in the UK was for free trade, but now I think they also went into protectionism. So, what can the world do? What can we, the G77, do? The NAM, because for us we are like-minded people. We are people who are mainly former victims of unfair practices, who are now asserting ourselves. The figure you are quoting of 42% of GDP being with us is just a small figure. In a very short time, Uganda's economy will grow by 10 times because the potential is there and the infrastructure is there. So when you say the transformation is, you have seen what has happened in China. In a very short time, it has become an economy of trillions of dollars because the potential was there, but it was not utilized. The potential was there, the market was there, the ports of China were there, some of the raw materials were there, the human resource was there, but it was not being used. This is the same problem here. Once we start using it, like for instance Africa, the main problem is that we are producing but exporting raw materials. Now, if we stop exporting raw materials, even if we maintain the present levels, and we transform the raw materials like coffee. We export coffee, but from the total business value of coffee in the world of $460 billion, all of us, we earn only $25 billion. 460 billion, all the coffee growing countries earn only 25 billion. And Africa earns only 2.5 billion. And $900 million is for Uganda, because Uganda produces a big amount of coffee. So if we only added value to coffee, if we had an agreement to export processed coffee rather than unprocessed coffee, that sector would go up almost by 10 times in value. So therefore, the expansion, that 40% you are talking about is temporary. It will soon be overtaken by expanded production, quantitative and qualitative change. But how do we trade with others? Because in Africa we are definitely moving. We have sold our view, and people are beginning to understand it. The World Bank, Banco Mundial, and IMF, they are not serious people. They just support consumption. I have a governor here. He's the governor of the bank. He's here. IMF gives him money called import support. Can you imagine? They give him money to support imports. And that's a debt to my people. Support imports, not of capital goods, but of perfumes, dead people's hair, alcohol, wines. Okay, I wouldn't mind if those who want to buy alcohol, but if they could give me first money for investment, and the other one was additional. So this is off the point. Thank you very much. I wish you good luck.
We need to change also, or to revise, rules that we created then that are not fit for purpose today. And if we will have a multilateral system based on universal standards and norms, it will be better than every country putting their own protectionist or their own rules. But the problem is that the developing countries don't have the rules working for them to be able to add value and to produce, to insert themselves in better supply chains in the market, as you said. And this is possible to discuss. We need to put this in the table precisely to add value. And I think that here Africa has a huge advantage with the revolution of the transition to renewable energy, because of the raw materials that many of the countries have, where the reserves are here. So, we have to think precisely what you did, to think historically what we have done right and where we can do better, do different, to be able to produce with a comparative advantage that we don't have now.
So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Museveni, Yoweri Museveni, talking with China and gang. So this is it. This is what we're seeing take place right now in Africa, changing everything. It's a new rule book. It's a new playbook. The Bullionism, or as Yoweri calls it, Museveni calls it, Bullionism, is no more. Ain't having it. And China is saying, No more Bullionism either. We ain't having it. No more protectionism over this. And I do like what he said about, what about the competitive advantage? That was very key here. If you all know what competitive advantage means, it means if you are a producer of a good, say, like he was mentioning, they're producers of lots and lots of coffee. That gives them a competitive advantage. That means people can give them money before they make the coffee because they've got the advantage that they are the best at it. Their coffee is the best. They know how to produce it. So we're going to front you $20 billion to give us the coffee. Boom. Competitive advantage in this area. In the food market, Uganda is going to soar. Not sure about their other natural resources and what is in Uganda, but I know that Africa as a whole, with competitive advantage, if that goes back into play, as Museveni is prescribing it with China here, this is different. This is huge. Like he was talking about the gold rush in San Francisco and California when all the pioneers came to America to get the gold. The same way with the resources in Africa. Right now, their resources, what's under their ground with their resources, that's what the world is wanting right now. And Africa is sitting on a gold mine. And Africa's they've got the manpower to do it. All they need is start putting the manufacturing companies up there. Boy, Africa, I'm telling you, get ready for your future here. Get ready, because there's help from pretty big players out there. Most of all, there's help from God above, who Africa has kept first in all of this. Watch out, world. Here they come. I love you all. I want to thank you all for watching so much. Have a blessed day. Hopefully you like this and subscribe. And if not, love you anyway. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.